To get going. All right, with that, we are going to get started. Sorry, I'm coming from back-to-back meetings, so bear with me for 1 second. I got to get my notes open. Okay. All right. First up, we do have a couple of guests today. We're going to start with Centegex. They're going to give you a quick 5-minute spiel on their organization. I'm not sure. There's so many people on this call. So if you are the representative from Centegex, please just turn your camera and mic on, and you're up. If you're talking, we can't hear you. Okay, we're going to jump then to the representatives from Starry.
Hey, thanks for having me. So I am Margaret Troyer. I am the literacy director at SERP Institute. We are a small nonprofit based in Washington, D.C. And I'm also a former middle school English teacher and literacy coach. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. So I know I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to talk really fast. I have just a few slides. I am here to talk to you about STARI, which is the Strategic Adolescent Reading Intervention, and an opportunity for those of you that are in schools that serve grades 6 through 8 to get STARI for free by participating in a research study. So STARI is a reading intervention for students in grades 6 and up at this point, although we're focusing on 6 through 8 for the study, who read 2 or more years below grade level. And STARI was developed by a partnership between SERP, Boston Public Schools, Harvard University, and Wheelock College in response to a problem of practice posed by Boston Public Schools, which was that their students could not read their textbooks when they got to high school. So researchers developed this intervention. It was piloted by teachers in Boston Public Schools, revised, and eventually evaluated. I'll just briefly say STARI does align with science reading. I'm also going to drop a link in the chat to our website because I'm going to be brief.
Sorry, Margaret, I apologize. Hey, if you're entering the meeting, you have got to make sure that you are muted, please. Sorry, Margaret.
No problem. I wasn't sure if somebody was trying to speak to me or if it was just a muting issue. Okay, so I also dropped a link in the chat to our website where you can learn a lot more about the intervention because I'm going to be really brief tonight, but I'll just quickly say it is aligned with science of reading. We address both the language comprehension and the word recognition strands. And we do have ESSA Tier 1 evidence of effectiveness based on 2 previous studies. One was in Massachusetts in 13-14, one was in Mississippi in 21-22. In the Massachusetts study, about 1/3 of the students had IEPs, and they grew just as much as the gen ed students. About 13% of the sample were English learners, and they grew just as much as the native English speakers. So this is an intervention that has documented effectiveness with English learners and with students with special needs. In the Mississippi study, about half the teachers that we worked with were not certified teachers. They were on an emergency or provisional certification, and we still had a statistically significant effect on their state test scores. So this is not an intervention that has to be taught by a certified reading specialist. The professional learning is really comprehensive. The lesson plans are really detailed. So this is something that can be taught by a teacher who has a growth mindset and a good rapport with the students. They can be successful with this intervention. There are harmony.
Guys,
so there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You guys, please mute yourselves when you enter the meeting.
So there are 3 years worth of materials. Each year's worth of materials is called a series. This is a standalone Tier 2 intervention designed to be done in addition to students' Tier 1 ELA class. Each series has 3 units. Each unit is built around an age-appropriate full-length novel paired with 1 or more nonfiction texts that are thematically related. Each unit has a student workbook, leveled fluency passages, teacher lesson plans, as well as ancillary materials like slides and assessment guides. All of this is provided free of charge for schools that choose to participate in the study. We also have a professional learning series for teachers. It's 17 sessions spanning the course of the school year. It is all online and asynchronous, can also be done live and in person, but can also be done asynchronously on teachers' own time. We pay the teachers for their time completing the professional learning series at their hourly rate for the number of hours they spend on professional learning, assuming that needs to take place outside of their regular workday, which it typically does. So, schools that choose to participate in the study will be randomly assigned to do STARI either immediately or on a 1-year delay. So it is a coin toss. It's completely random. If you choose to participate, you'll either be assigned to start STARI in fall of 25 or to wait 1 year and start STARI in fall of 26. And if this sounds like it could possibly be a good fit for your school, what I will ask you to do is I'm going to drop a calendar link in the chat, and click on that link and pick a time to meet with me or a member of my team to talk about whether this could be a good fit. I'll just briefly recap. This is my last slide. Schools that are assigned to the immediate implementation condition will get all their STARI curriculum materials and professional learning in 25-26. The teachers will be compensated. They will receive a $1,000 stipend in spring of 26. Schools that are assigned to that delayed condition, they'll get all their curriculum materials and professional learning in fall of 26, in the 26-27 school year. Those schools will receive a $10,000 stipend in spring 26 as a thank you for participating. We know everyone who chooses to participate wants to be in the immediate condition, so this is kind of a thank you for participating and hanging in there, and we're sorry that you were in the delayed condition, but here's a generous stipend to compensate you. And no strings attached. It's just a check to your school. It can be used for anything. So if this sounds like it could be a good fit for your school, please click on that link and find a time to meet with myself or a member of my team, and we'll talk more and can get all your questions answered.
Thank you so much. And I just want to make sure that the school leaders on this call know that I think most of you know that I participate in the Nevada Association of Superintendents group, NAS. And the reason I participate in that is because we are an LEA. And we need to get the information about being an LEA out to all the charter schools. But I have the benefit when I'm sitting in NAS sometimes of getting a more detailed explanation about some of these programs. And I want you to know that I'm very selective about the ones that I extend an invitation to come talk to this group. Again, I have the benefit of seeing like a larger presentation, like 15, 20 minutes, digging into the weeds of it. And when I see something that I really think could benefit schools in our portfolio or be a really great opportunity, those are the people that I invite to come take 5 minutes of your time because I know how valuable it is. So please just know that anytime, but I'm also, I know your time is valuable. So then I only give these people 5 minutes to make their pitch, which is not very long. So I'm just saying that so like I have already sort of acknowledged and given them like a green light. I'm not just letting anyone come to these meetings. So please know that, and please take advantage. These materials are awesome and they've gotten really good results. So I hope some of you will be interested. And again, Margaret, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time.
Yeah, of course. And then I'm going to just double check and see. We tried to start with Cenagex, but they may have joined. Is any representative from Cenagex here?
Yes, my name is Jordan Goins. I am with Centegix, and we should have also Alicia Ryan. She had mentioned she might have to call in. Alicia, or were you able to get in? Sounds like maybe Alicia, I see you on here as a participant, but you are muted.
No, she's muted herself if she is.
I probably muted her. She might have to hang up and call back in.
Let's see if she said something in the chat here.
Jordan, are you able to we're running a little bit behind. Are you able to do your 5 minutes without her?
I can put something together. I don't, so I'm kind of a technical resource. I'm here to answer, any kind of technical procedural questions about implementation or integration and things like that. I don't have the deck, but I might be able to get it real quick if you can give me just a minute. If
Was
you
it
guys have
Alicia
another,
that you were waiting for?
it is, yes.
Okay, Alicia's in. So Alicia, you got about 4 minutes.
Can you hear me now?
We do, yes.
Okay, 4 minutes. Let's hit the ground running. Give me 1 second here.
Do the super, super condensed version.
Yeah. Okay, can you guys see my screen yet?
I do.
Okay. Sorry, you guys. Microsoft Teams, not my friend. Okay, so a little bit about us. We are a wearable badge, I think is the key thing to know about Centegix and the key to incident response. And the nice thing is we're in over 47 states, of which we have the 3 biggest districts in the state of Nevada. So I think it covers us about like 70% of Nevada, with the 3 being the biggest. But we would love to get the charters. So we are working with Clark, we are working with Washoe, and we are working with one other, and Elko. So just so you guys know, we are working in the state of Nevada. We are serving over 14 million people with our wearables, which I think is critical. The key thing about us is that with our wearables, we are a little bit unique identifier. When I say that, we are one button, which is critical. So with this one button, you can kind of see it over here. You press this one button 3 times, you get help, which is great. And we actually know where you are on your campuses. Some of the campuses might have stories. I don't know if any of you guys have those. Some of you might have vast campuses too. We will know if you're in the parking lot when you press that button. We'll know if you're on the 3rd floor. And then on top of that, if you are someone that is responding to that location, the great part about it is that you also know some closest assets to your location. So then we would know, okay, we have an AED, we have a Narcan, we have fire extinguisher. You can even pin your cameras on there. The other nice thing is this, because this is battery operated, because it works off our own network. The other nice thing about that is, guess what? You don't have to worry about your Wi-Fi or cellular service too. I know some of that can be spotty throughout the state. And the great part about this is the battery life on this badge is about 2 years, along with the other proprietary strobes that we place throughout the campus, and they can also flash colors. So you get total campus coverage. Every single staff member gets one of the badges. Even if you guys have substitutes for a day, we know exactly where you are on a campus. And then we also have audio visuals. So we have a strobe that will be placed in each classroom, down the hallways, about every 30 to 60 feet, depending on your hallway. And then on top of it, you also will have, we have beacons that we place on the exterior. When an alert goes off, a 3-click is I need help. When you do it 8 or more times, that is when we can lock down your campus. What will happen is those strobes that are in each classroom, in the hallways, in the front office, by the entries and exits, those start flashing a color. So if in a lockdown, say they would flash red. The another nice part is we can also do pop-ups on your PCs, just basically letting you know that there is a lockdown happening, or run, hide, fight, or Alice, depending on what you guys prefer, your terminology. But the nice thing is we're getting that communication out. So if somebody hears something outside, they're not rushing out to see what it is. They're knowing that they're in a current lockdown situation. So like I said, as the badge has 2 different options, but one thing I will tell you, staff alerts get used a ton, about 99% of the time. It's tracking those medical emergencies. It's tracking those fights. It's getting attention for those irate parents. You guys have none of those. Those are exempt from Nevada, correct? I just want to make sure you guys, this doesn't apply to the state of Nevada, right? Okay. And then you guys have any runners too. So if you were chasing after a kid, it's hard to get to a phone or to radio when you're chasing after somebody. So you could push the button and then help would know where you are going, or team would know who needs help. So just know a bigger version of it. So you would see it on the map. And then on top of that is it comes with, we would digitize all of your guys' campuses. So some of you guys might, like I said, have vast campus, and we would digitize that map, give you a nice pretty map. And then as law enforcement shows up, there's also a grid option, so they would know where to go. Law enforcement can be added at no additional cost. We can integrate with a lot of those 911 centers, which makes it extremely nice. And we can also integrate if you guys have any PA systems, auto door lockings, smart boards. There's a lot of really cool integrations we can do to automate as much as possible. So once I press a button, help is coming and everybody's aware of it. That needs to be. So campus alerts could be a wide variety of different things. But like I said, the key is we're going to catch attention of students and of your staff when something is needed, and it all happens within seconds. Jordan, anything you want to add?
My goodness, no, that was a whirlwind, and that was excellent.
Alicia, no, that was perfect. I've been a school leader, and that would have got my attention. So that was perfect. Alicia, I think the most important thing, if you can drop in the chat, if a school was interested in contacting you to find out more, how should they get a hold of you? If you put that in the chat, that would be really helpful. We wanted to get I wanted to get Senejex in here because I know we're right about to ramp up into the budget cycle for next year.
Yes, ma'am.
Certainly, as someone who has dealt with a variety of different systems and has looked at lots of different things, I personally was like, where was this 24 months ago when I was, upgrading my system at my school? So certainly was very, very impressed. And we thank you guys for being here today. And like I said, drop that in the chat so people can reach out to you if they have questions. And thanks again.
You're welcome. I also put my cell phone, my email, and then a link to schedule a 20-minute call so we can just get on the same page, since I was moving quickly and I want to make sure we're on the same page. But thank you so much, Melissa. I really appreciate your time.
No,
and thank you guys for having us.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank
All
you.
right, I'm going to jump into some other updates. First up, many of you probably know that we have a new student on our board. His name is Matthew Baru. He's a very ambitious young man, and he really wants to reach out to other charter school students. We were hoping, he sent me a draft of his video today, but there were some kind of issues with it that he's redoing it. So next week, I was going to show it during this meeting, but I'm telling you now, since we're not going to meet for a whole nother month, please watch for that in next Wednesday's email. I'm asking if you are a charter high school, if you would please decide a way that you could show that video. If you do morning announcements, maybe you show it to everyone. If you have a student council teacher, maybe the student council teacher shares it with your student council kids, or please just watch the video and see if there is a way that you could show that video. It's going to be really short. I think it's under 2 minutes, to students in your high school. Matthew is really trying to connect with other charter school students in the state. So really appreciate that if you can do that. There is a project that we shared with you a while ago. It's called the Should Project. I'm highlighting it again today because the gentleman who oversees this project came and made public comment at the board meeting, and he was a little worked up because not a lot of charter schools have responded. So I just want to re-highlight for everyone. It's a non-for-profit that gives you a fridge for free. And then instead of throwing food away, you put the leftover food in the fridge, and he comes and collects it and distributes it to people in need. It's actually a really cool project. So if you do offer lunch service and that is something you are interested in, please look back in your Wednesday emails to get that information on the Should Project. And we will get that in there. If it's not in this week, it will be in next week's as well. You also saw in this week's email a link to a form for good news stories. This is the time of year where we are really ramping up our public relations campaign, so to speak, as we are talking to legislators all the time. And, we're just really trying to just tell the good news of charter schools. So we recognize how busy you are, but if you could just take a few minutes and just, I mean, it can just be, it doesn't have to be something major. It can be like, hey, the FFA kids showed their lambs to the fourth graders. It was really cool. The basketball team, you know, won a championship, whatever it is, the math team won a contest. Any, 3 teachers finished their EL endorsement in our school. I mean, just one sentence little highlights that are really going good at your school would really help us out. And then before I turn it over, I should have started with this so I could have ended on a more positive note. But I think those of you who know me know that I kind of operate on a clear is kind mentality. And I have to be really honest with you about something that has happened recently. We've been doing our mystery parent phone calls, where I think you all know what that is. So we've been doing those, and we have called every single campus, and we have had 13 campuses that received 2 to 3 phone calls, and no one ever answered their phone. And when I hear that, I have to be honest with you guys. When I put my parent hat on, there is not a scenario in the world where I would leave my kid enrolled at a school where if I called 3 times, no one answered the phone. And I'm just drawing that to your attention because you might not realize how often it's happening, and you might not realize how off-putting that is to a parent. And we have so many schools that are struggling to hit their enrollment numbers. You have got to be responsive. You have got to be answering your phone. I don't know how else to say it other than it is incredibly off-putting for a parent or a member of the public to call a school 2 or 3 times and not get an answer. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Marina and Connie. I've already talked to you about this, but this is a really, really major shift that we are excited about, but we really want to make sure you are prepared to be successful. So I'm going to turn this over to Connie and Marina to talk to you about Teaching Strategies Gold, the upcoming kindergarten entry exam.
Thank you, Melissa. I'll start off, and then Marina, you can chime in if you have anything to add that I missed. So as Melissa mentioned, we just want to make sure everyone is up to speed with what's happening with the new kindergarten entry assessment. So in the past, we used the Brigance screener. I like to call that a pull and sit assessment. It's a really brief, not comprehensive tool that was utilized. So we're switching to the Teaching Strategies Gold tool. It is observation-based. It is developmentally appropriate, which we know is always very important. It also provides a lot more information, which is always really helpful. I think a couple things to note. The tool is designed to be comprehensive, and there are actually 38 different content areas. However, the state of Nevada, in setting this up, has carved that down to 17 areas instead of the 38. Which I think is really important to note. So we want to make this doable for everybody. The other thing to note is this is observation-based, but this is not, as far as instruction and curriculum and like what's happening, this isn't going to change any of that. In fact, it should dovetail really nicely into the work that's already happening. It's just a matter of being familiar and comfortable with the 17 areas and then identifying, okay, this week we're going to track these things, et cetera, et cetera. Some additional things to note are that all of this work has to be done within the first 45 days of instruction, which we know is going to be tight. It's going to be tough. However, it's an entry assessment, so we don't want too much instruction to take place and the data to be skewed. So what does that mean for y'all? One good thing to note is that the state will be paying for the assessment tool itself. However, we highly encourage you to be thoughtful about supporting your K staff. in this endeavor, knowing that they have 45 days to gather the information, to get it into this software system, this TSG system, provide anecdotal notes, and then they also have to score. So it is much more comprehensive than we've seen in the past. An additional kind of cool thing to note is kindergarten teachers can be supported in this, meaning if there are aides, literacy coaches, other staff members that are trained and that the kindergarten teacher feels comfortable with them supporting them in this work, they can also assist with gathering, providing notes, scoring, etc. NDE has set up some resources for us. So you should, if you haven't already, all elementary principals and K teachers should receive an email with login information. If you haven't received it yet, you should within the next couple of weeks receive that information. It's very, very important that you check and make sure that you can log into the system and you're good to go, because we will be providing trainings, but we can't provide access. Marina is going to drop into the chat an email that if you want to add additional users aside from whoever was identified, or if you can't get in or you're having problems, this is who you reach out to get that support. Should have been in the email today, the weekly email that went out today. We do have some trainings upcoming in June. We do ask all kindergarten teachers and or admin that are going to be supporting those teachers to plan to attend. We'll have one in the north, 3 in Las Vegas, and 1 virtual. And that virtual will be recorded and then disseminated out for those that can't come in person. It's always tricky to try and figure out when should we have the training. Everyone's busy, so we're trying to time it as best we can. We'll also be conducting office hours in August, so that as you're getting in and you're starting to kind of do this work, that you're supported if you have any additional questions. Please register by May 14th so that we can plan accordingly. And I think that's everything I have. Marina, if you want to add anything, or if anyone has any questions.
I have nothing to add. Thanks, Connie.
I do want to just add one thing. One of the reasons why we, Marina, Connie, and I really wanted to get this in front of you now, besides the fact that you could plan for those professional developments, is that when I was hearing about this and I was wearing my school leader hat, I immediately thought I would have to budget for this, right? Like I might need to bring in a sub a couple days so that my kindergarten teachers can go enter their data into the system. Or if I have IAs that are only working, in the morning in kindergarten, maybe I need them to work all day for the first few weeks of school until these assessments are done, right? I do believe that, or maybe I need to pay an extra stipend to my kindergarten teachers who are going to have to stay late to get all of this data entered into the system, right? So I really do believe that there are potentially budgetary implications in that regard. Those are just a few examples of ways I thought I could potentially handle it if I was a school leader. And that is one of the reasons why we are requiring that school leaders attend this training too. We do not want these kindergarten teachers to feel unsupported. This is going to give them great data, but they need the support of their leadership. And that might mean some additional subs, some additional IA hours, or some additional compensation for the additional work that's going to be required here. So again, that's one of the main reasons we are really trying to make sure that our school leaders are aware this is coming, so that as you're planning your budget for next year, this is top of mind. And with that, I will open it up for any questions.
And I want to add as well, Melissa, that this is designed to be a comprehensive tool. So just for this audience, I wouldn't say this to, all of the teachers quite yet, but you could do a pre and post. Like what's required by the state, just the pre, right? But if you want to use it in a comprehensive fashion, it will design lesson plans for you, does all kinds of different things. And we can talk about that a little bit more during the training. But if you're interested in that data, with it being comparable with the pre and post, that is an option.
Just a quick item, Connie, there's a question in the chat. Can the kindergarten entry assessment be administered during kinder roundup before school starts?
You want me to take
Do you
that?
want to answer that? Or you go for
Well,
it. Sorry.
so I think really diving into the 17 content areas, because this tool is designed to be observation based. And so Roundup, you're going to be, probably just one-on-one with your students, and you can't really replicate that whole entire classroom experience. Keeping in mind, this tool is really designed for whole child. So we're going to be looking at social emotional components. We're going to be looking at some other regulatory pieces that the Brigant screener doesn't even really touch. So my answer to that is, unfortunately, I mean, there might be a few things that you maybe could do, but the bulk of it is absolutely going to need to take place during classroom instruction.
And then another question regarded what's the estimated time frame required for the implementation of the tool?
So implementation of the tool. So trainings are in June. You should be getting logins anytime. And then you can kind of, hop in there. I will be available as you have questions prior to, like, we want you to feel supported in this because we want it to be effective. Like at the end of the day, we always hope that the work that we do is for purpose. And what is our why here? And the why here is that it's a developmentally appropriate tool that is designed to gather really pertinent data for you and for your teachers and to hopefully drive instruction. So it has to be completed within that first 45 days of instruction. So definitely, I would piecemeal that out of my calendar. By week 1, have this done. By week 2, have this done, and just be, like Melissa said, like, what is that going to take for our man hours, right? Like, how many hours do we need to make this happen? And do we need extra, time for input and things like that? It is pretty labor intensive. So I hope that answers the question.
And there's one last question in the chat not related to KEA,
Yes,
Melissa.
Okay. I saw that. Okay.
Great.
Let's just make sure there's no more kindergarten questions before we completely switch gears here. Okay, hearing none. Dr. Feinstein has asked the question, any update on the Attorney General's office regarding immigration? Dr. Feinstein, we found out yesterday that the Attorney General's office is not going to be issuing any further guidance. They issued some guidance, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago. I think, you have that, and they have determined that they aren't going to issue any additional guidance. We are very, very sorry about that. What we recommend that you do is work with your school's legal counsel, partner up with other schools. That is really, unfortunately, the best we can do right now. And I apologize. That is not the answer that I was hoping to give, but that is what we have been told. So I'm very sorry. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we hope you guys have a great February and a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.